Hello there, and welcome back to Exit to Excel. This is the podcast where we take career setbacks and turn them into opportunities. My name is Latanya. They call me LT, and I'm your host. And this is Rocky the Rock Star, my co host. So, welcome. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for being here. In case you don't know, I've been in HR for 25 years in corporate America, Fortune 500 companies, high growth organizations. I have worked with leaders on succession plans, talent strategies. I have worked with them on layoffs, delivering the messages, deciding who's going to go, who's going to stay. On the flip side, I've also been subjected to layoffs 4 times, most recently this past October. And so I've decided to take everything that I've learned and spill the tea with you to give you the inside scoop on what really goes on within organizations as it relates to their HR programs and policies. So, what we've been talking about recently here is the job search, because a lot of us probably know that the job search or the job market is extremely competitive and extremely challenging right now. So, I've been working on this series called Play to Win, bringing your A game to the job search, because while it isn't a game, it is a game, and you got to know how to play it to win it. So, that's what we've been going through. So today we're going to talk about smart networking with AI and how to build strong connections without feeling like you're begging. Now, before I go any further, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then what are you waiting on? Please hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. And also like it and share it, because I know there's a lot of people out here who can use this information. And if you've been following me, then hopefully you have been able to kind of pick this up. And if not, hopefully you will. But my solutions are AI powered. Like, I have a lot of AI training and certification. And so, considering how much the job landscape has changed, one, in terms of how recruiters now, recruit and fill these jobs, but also in terms of how employers and employees are using AI in their jobs. I'm using that for everything that we do. So I'm giving you some very strong, very good AI prompts in each of my episodes to help give you a leg up. So again, you don't want to miss anything. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. Also follow me on my social media at Exit to Excel. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, and coming soon on LinkedIn. Hopefully we'll be popping up on LinkedIn in another week or two. So looking forward to that. But for today, let's talk about networking. So if you are like I used to be, you hate networking. And I think it's because, from my experience from talking to people, it always feels like you have to figure out a sneaky way to ask somebody for something. And it doesn't feel good, right? Or if you know somebody is networking with you, it's like, oh Lord, they just come to me because they want something. And it tends to be just an exercise where you have this fake smile and you're trying to come up with this trivial small talk and exchanging a bunch of business cards. That ain't fun. But when I started thinking about networking differently and started approaching it differently, it changed everything. And I realized that the reason why I didn't like it is because I was doing it all wrong. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today is smart networking and how you can build true, genuine relationships that are actually going to advance your career and not have you feeling like a sleazy salesperson trying to ask somebody for something. So let me start off by asking you this. When is the last time someone in your network proactively reached out to you to say, hey, Latanya, I heard about this job and I think this would be great for you. And so I want to tell you more, or, can I put this person in contact with you? Yada, yada, yada. Um, when was the last time somebody has reached out to you with that? Now, if it's been a very long time or not at all, then I would say that your networking could use some improvement. And so today we are going to fix that. So, since I was in HR for 25 years, I've participated in the hiring of a lot of people. And what I found is that those who tend to get the great opportunities are the ones who, it's not really just about what they know or who they know, is who thinks of them when opportunities arise. So I know we hear all the time, hey, it's not what you know, is who you know. That's some of it, but it's also who are the people that are thinking of you when you're not in the room. And that's where the rubber hits the road. So let me share with you some statistics that should change how you think about networking. 85% of jobs are filled through networking and referrals, not job boards, not recruiting firms, but real relationships. And I think even though most people kind of know that, it still doesn't change how they spend their time. They still spend the majority of their time on job boards or, working with recruiting firms. Another statistic, you're 5 times more likely to get an interview when referred by an internal connection versus a cold application. That's the reason why companies have referral programs. They would much more prefer to have a short list of referrals that people are vouching for versus pulling people from a system that they don't know from Adam's Tomcat, right? Another one, 70% of senior executives attribute their career success to strong professional relationships. Now, despite all these facts, here's the problem. Most people still approach networking like amateurs. So I'm going to go over the 5 amateur networking mistakes and see if you recognize yourself in any of these. Amateur mistake number 1 is the desperation approach. This is only reaching out when you need something. Hey, I'm looking for a job. Know of anything? Got anything? Can you help me? Why does this fail? It fails because you're positioning yourself as someone who takes, not someone who gives value. Amateur mistake number 2, the collector mentality. This is the person who measures success by how many business cards they can collect or how many LinkedIn connections they can make. Now, why does this fail? This fails because 500 weak connections are not going to get you anything. They're worthless. However, 5 strong relationships can absolutely change your career. Amateur mistake number 3 is the generic outreach. Now, this is when you get that standard message on LinkedIn. Hey, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. How many of you actually accept those or even pay them any mind beyond maybe just accepting it and moving on? Probably the majority of us. 'Cause I'm pretty sure all of us have probably gotten those at one point, and we don't think anything about it. And why? Is because everyone is sending the same generic message. So why would I pay any attention to this another generic message? I don't. Amateur mistake number 4, the one and done. This is when you meet someone once and you expect them to remember you months later. It doesn't work like that, right? Relationships require nurturing, and one interaction does not a relationship make. And then finally, amateur mistake number 5, the all about me show. This is where you are networking, but all you're doing is talking about yourself and your experience and your needs. People don't like that. People tend to remember who shows interest in them, not just those who are so self absorbed. Now, I've learned so much from my 4 layoffs, and I learned something different with each one, but I would say that, again, the people that, I've networked with who've been also laid off, the ones who have bounced back the fastest are also the ones who tend to have networks that work for them. And so how do you get your network to work for you? How do you, network like a champion? I'm going to show you a framework that will, change your networking game and flip it so that people are actually coming to you with opportunities. And it's called the Compete Framework. So, the Compete Framework is a systematic approach to building relationships that are actually going to help your job search and advance your career. So, unlike traditional networking, the Compete Framework focuses on creating genuine value and creating authentic relationships. So, let's go through each letter now. C stands for chart your network. So, this is where you're going to start auditing your existing relationships strategically. Now, some people have no idea who's actually in their network. And quite honestly, I really didn't put a lot of thought into my network until I got this last layoff. And that's when I really started paying attention to it and managing it strategically. But you will want to map your current connections across your current and former colleagues, industry leaders and influencers, clients, vendors, service providers, alumni networks and the professional associations, and mentors, coaches, and advisors. Now, the best way to do this is to use a spreadsheet or some kind of tool, maybe a CRM tool, so that you can track the relationship strength, the last interaction, and potential value exchange. Now, again, this isn't about being manipulative. You just want to be organized. You want to be strategic here. The O stands for observe and research. This is where AI becomes your networking superpower. Now, before you reach out to anyone, you want to research them strategically. You do this by analyzing their recent LinkedIn posts and articles. You want to understand their career journey and current challenges. You want to be able to find common ground where you have shared experiences, mutual connections, and industry interest. And then you also want to identify how can you provide value to them. So when you're able to do your research and get this intel, you're able to turn a cold outreach into a real, authentic, warm, personalized connection and conversation. The M stands for move with value. Now, this is the game changer, and I think this is something that's consistent across the board when it comes down to networking. You always want to lead with value. You always want to seek to be of service. So instead of asking or thinking, what can you do for me? Think, what can you do for them? What can I do for you? So there are three ways to provide value immediately. One is by just sharing insights. That's by, sharing articles and industry reports or unique perspectives. Another way is facilitating connections. Now, I'll say I'm probably strongest in that area because I know a lot of people and I love connecting people. And whenever I think of opportunities or whatever, especially in the HR space, if it's not for me, they'll be like, well, hey, you might want to contact this person. And people appreciate that. And when you do that, they remember you in kind. So, hey, facilitate those introductions as much as you can. And then offer support. So maybe you're one to just offer your expertise, your assistance, or your feedback on maybe it's different projects. Maybe you're helping somebody else out with their own job search. There's so many ways to offer support. So that is another way that you're able to provide value. So again, the best hires that I've seen over the course of my career came through the ones that were known as connectors and value providers and not just the people who were always asking for things. Now, the P stands for practice nurturing. Now, this is where you have to spend time nurturing your relationships. Now, as it even works in your personal relationships, right? The ones that you don't spend time with, they kind of die on the vine. And then you look up and you realize, darn, I haven't talked to this person 2 or 3 years. Relationships take work, and your network is no different. So you want to be able to give it consistent and personalized attention. So you do that by regularly checking in. These are non-transactional interactions every few months. It can just be a quick note, dropping in on LinkedIn. Hey, I was thinking about you. How's everything going? I noticed this on your timeline, whatever the case may be. Personalized communication, reference something that you talked about in the past, or reference something you remember about them. Maybe it's something about their child, or maybe it's a recent achievement or something like that. People like that because it shows you're paying attention. Systematic tracking, again, a spreadsheet will do, a CRM tool, a client relationship management tool will be even better, or even just calendar reminders that will give you a nudge to keep in touch. And then continuous value, always be thinking about how you can help other people or help, the particular people in your network. Again, people always appreciate when, you make an effort to keep in contact, and you make an effort to stay on their radar. So makes a big difference. The E stands for engage authentically. So this is where you want to think beyond transactional exchanges and having real, genuine conversations. So imagine that, a real, genuine conversation. So to do that, in case we've forgotten, is one, actively listening. This is where you want to focus on understanding their perspective and not just waiting for your turn to speak. Two, ask thoughtful questions. Demonstrate genuine curiosity about their work and their challenges. And then three, share authentically. Be real about your own experiences, and not just the good stuff, but also the challenges and the failures. And then T, train consistently. This is where you turn your networking into a sustainable habit. So this is where you want to systemize your engagement. And again, this is how you come up with every, tool or process you have to be able to track and manage your relationships. You want to integrate that routine so that becomes a normal part of your week or your month, right? Where you're dedicating 30 minutes a week to, networking activities. And then you want to focus on long term. And this is where you're building relationships that compound over time. And then finally, E in compete stands for excel long term. And this is the goal is mutually beneficial career partnerships. And when you do this right, your network becomes a career accelerator system, acceleration system, so that when and if you have to leverage your network, it's already there intact and you don't have to start from scratch. So when you have, a long-term network in place, your relationships yield increasing returns over time. Your reach and credibility multiplies. Your trusted connections provide guidance during, transitions. And you have a lasting legacy. You contribute to a professional ecosystem that really supports everyone. So that is the compete framework. And when you're able to, you know, action on all of those things, then you'll find that it has so many returns in so many different ways. So now I'm going to share with you some AI prompts to help you get this network in place and get a system in place. So the first one is the LinkedIn deep dive. So this is where you're able to get some information to find those common connections with people, find out what they've been up to and all of that. So you can take this prompt, again, it's going to be down below, so you can just cut and paste it. But it says, hey, analyze this LinkedIn profile. And you can put the URL there, copy the content. And then you're going to say, hey, identify their recent career achievements and current focus, their industry challenges. 3, their common ground with my background. 4, specific value I could offer them based on my expertise in your area. And then provide 2 to 3 conversation starters that reference their recent activity. Now, when you get the output, you can use that in several ways. You can send them a LinkedIn note. You can ask them for, maybe to meet up for coffee, maybe for a quick video chat. But when you are able to connect with them on a personal level, they're more than likely going to accept the invitation for a conversation. Because trust me, I was just talking to a neighbor of mine who works for Corn Ferry, and she was talking about how she's just getting bombarded with these requests to network and connect, and she doesn't know them. She doesn't have any kind of relationship with them. And so when you're able to connect with somebody on a more personal level, they're likely going to be more receptive to that outreach versus somebody just saying, hey, let me connect with you, and they don't know anything about you. Now, the second prompt I'm going to give you is a personalized outreach generator. So I like this, especially for my introverts, when you struggle with small talk or trying to figure out what to say or how to connect with people. So this prompt reads, create a personalized LinkedIn connection message for this person who is, in this role at this company. Reference their recent post or article or achievement about whatever topic, and then say, I want to offer value through whatever your specific expertise or resource is. And then keep it under 200 characters, avoid sounding salesy, and include a specific reason for connecting beyond just growing my network. So that helps you put some context around the message that you want to send to hopefully, you know, get it more attention and traction. But I really do like that prompt. And then I'm going to give you a prompt for the follow up, because you just can't, reach out to someone and, get what you need and then disappear. You want to be able to maintain a relationship and keep it going. So here's a prompt for a follow up strategy. So starts with, based on my conversation with this person about whatever topic, suggest 3 follow-up touch points over the next 6 months that would add genuine value to their work in their industry or role. And it goes on from there. So that's another good one, because it gives you a framework, right? And a process and a timeline to be able to follow up, to continue to nurture and grow that relationship. So these are just 3 prompts that I developed after watching how, really good, successful networking actually works in corporate environments. And so the key, particularly for using AI for your job search or network and whatever, but the key is that you're not using it to replace your voice, but you're using it to enhance it, right? You still want to make it your own. And so even when you get these outputs, I would encourage you to still put your voice in it, make it your own, so that it doesn't come across as being AI. Because trust me, that's not going to get you anywhere either. Okay. So now let's talk about the difference between amateur networking and championship networking. So the amateur approach is, your outreach. Hey, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me? The focus then becomes what they need from others, and they only do it when they're desperate and they need something. What is the follow up there? And the value is all take and no give. The championship approach is, hey, I saw your article on industry trends, and here's a resource that builds on your insights. So the focus there is how they are helping others first. The frequency is consistent, but at strategic times. The follow up is systematic, but with continued value. And then the value is you are giving value first, and then you're going to receive just as a natural result. So that is the difference between people who don't like networking, don't network, or are only doing it out of desperation when they need something, versus people who are more focused on providing value first and really building those genuine, authentic relationships. So I want to give you a challenge now. I want to give you a 30-day compete challenge. And so here it is here. The first week, I want you to chart and observe. So this is, again, we're following the compete framework. The first one is the C, chart and observe. Map your current network and research 10 strategic connections using AI. For week 2, I want you to move with value. Reach out to 5 connections with personalized, value-driven messages. Week 3, practice authentic engagement. Have meaningful conversations and follow up with promised resources. And then 4, train for consistency. Establish your ongoing networking system. Now, with this, we're just starting off small, right? I just want you to get the feel of how this works and how it plays out. We're only working with 5. So then once you get comfortable with that 5, then you can build on it from there. But at least I want you to take that first step, baby steps. So again, you can map out your current network, research 10, but then you're going to move forward with 5. I think you can do that for me. If you do, please DM me, comment on my social media, and let me know how that works for you. And let me know how I can help as well. Okay. So now, that is for today on the networking. Again, a true game changer. It is going to help you, again, stand out from anybody else who's just sending out these generic messages. Hey, I want to add you to my, LinkedIn connections or whatever. So let me know if you do it and how it works for you. Now, if you are interested, I do have a strategic connection blueprint that I've created. That's a complete guide to implementing the entire framework without it feeling uncomfortable or sleazy. And it includes networking, mapping templates, and tracking sheets, 3 AI prompts formatted for immediate use, 30 conversation starters for different networking scenarios, which is great for you introverts, follow-up templates for maintaining relationships, and a monthly networking activity calendar. So if you are interested in that resource, comment below, compete, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you because I want everybody to win. I think that networking is so key in the job search, and it's actually where we should be spending the majority of our time. So if you are interested in that resource, then comment, compete below. Because at the end of the day, look, smart networking isn't about using people, but it is about creating a very strong professional ecosystem where everyone can win. So hopefully, this has helped you. We talked about why amateur networking fails and how champions succeed. We talked about the compete framework for strategic relationship building, and I gave you some AI prompts to help you transform your networking approach and a 30-day implementation challenge. So you are very welcome. So until next time, get out there, network, get your plan together, bring your A game because the job search game is not a game. We're out here to win. This is Latanya with Exit to Excel. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.